In Rankin County, Mississippi, they had a nickname for themselves. They called it the Goon Squad. It wasn't a joke, and it wasn't a secret. It was a self-proclaimed title for a group of 6 law enforcement officers known for one thing: their willingness to use excessive force and their absolute commitment to covering it up. For years, rumors of their brutality haunted the community. But in January 2023, the Goon Squad went too far. What happened inside a small home in Braxton, Mississippi, wasn't just police brutality, it was torture. And today, the badges are gone, the guilty pleas are in, and the sentences are among the longest in history. This is the story of the fall of the Goon Squad. It started with a phone call. A white neighbor complained to Chief Investigator Brett McAlpin that 2 black men were staying at a home with a white woman. There was no crime reported, no warrant, just a racist grievance. McAlpin contacted Deputy Christian Dedman, who sent out a text message to the group. The mission? No bad mugshots. This was a green light to beat the suspects in places that wouldn't show up in a booking photo. The 6 men, Christian Dedman, Hunter Elward, Brett McAlpin, Jeffrey Middleton, Daniel Opdyke, and Joshua Hartfield, burst into the home. They found Michael Corey Jenkins and Eddie Terrell Parker. What followed was a 90-minute nightmare. The officers handcuffed the men and began a systematic assault. They shouted racial slurs. They shocked them with tasers 17 times. They poured milk, alcohol, and chocolate syrup over their faces, forcing them to ingest the liquids. The depravity didn't stop there. They forced the 2 men to strip naked and shower together to wash off the evidence. They even used a sex toy to assault the victims. But the moment that nearly turned a torture session into a murder came when Deputy Hunter Elward pulled out his service weapon. Elward performed a mock execution. He put his gun into Michael Corey Jenkins' mouth and pulled the trigger. The first time it clicked. He racked the slide and pulled it again. This time, the gun fired. The bullet shattered Jenkins' jaw, lacerated his tongue, and exited through his neck. As he lay bleeding on the floor, the officers didn't call for an ambulance. They started talking about a story. While Michael Jenkins was fighting for his life, the Goon Squad was busy planting evidence. They placed a BB gun on Jenkins and claimed he had pointed a weapon at them. They threw away shell casings and destroyed surveillance footage from the home. For months, the department stuck to this story. Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker were facing felony charges based on the lies of these 6 men. But the Goon Squad made one fatal mistake. They underestimated the power of the evidence they couldn't burn and the courage of the men they tried to silence. The federal investigation blew the case wide open. In 2024, the sentences came down, and they were staggering. Federal Judge Tom Lee called their actions egregious and despicable. Christian Dedman, the most aggressive of the group, sentenced to 40 years. Brett McAlpin, the high-ranking leader, sentenced to 27 years. Hunter Elward, the man who pulled the trigger, sentenced to 20 years. Jeffrey Middleton and Daniel Opdyke each received 17.5 years. Joshua Hartfield, sentenced to 10 years. These were not just slaps on the wrist. These were federal sentences designed to ensure these men spend a significant portion of their lives behind bars. During the hearings, even their own lawyers admitted they had become part of a culture of corruption. Michael Jenkins survived, though his life is forever changed. He still has difficulty speaking, but his survival ensured that the Goon Squad would never hurt anyone else again. This case has sparked a $400 million lawsuit against the Rankin County Sheriff's Department and calls for the sheriff himself to resign. The fall of the Goon Squad is a reminder that when the system fails to watch the watchers, tragedy is inevitable. But it's also a reminder that even in the darkest corners of the justice system, the truth eventually finds a way into the light. Do you think these sentences were enough? Or is there a bigger problem in the Rankin County Sheriff's Office that hasn't been addressed? Let's have a respectful conversation in the comments. Thank you for watching.